Welcome to Creepypasta. Please like, share and subscribe. This will help us make more content for you. Thank you. I think I died in early July. Do you guys know the whole theory about how when people die in one timeline, they shift into another? I think that may have happened to me. Back in early July of this year, my family, mother 45, father 54, me 19, brother 16, sister 13, were going on a road trip to Montana to visit our grandparents. Prior to the trip, I had a horrible feeling about going. I kept having flashes of car accidents in my head, and I was sure that we were going to get in one if we left. It was so strange, because I have a pretty severe anxiety disorder, but this didn't feel like my anxiety at all, and I never have anxiety about road trips. I love them. So we left Saturday of that week. I had told my parents I had a bad feeling about driving up there, but they dismissed me as being anxious, but I had never felt so certain about something in my life. Getting into that car felt like signing my death sentence. So we get about 6 hours in, and at this point, I start to think I was being ridiculous, and a wave of calmness just washes over me. This is where shit gets strange. My dad passes an underpass and everything just shifts. I feel like I saw everything in slow motion for a whole 4 or so minutes. My parents were joking beforehand, but their faces moved so slowly, and then the light in the car started to shift. This was the scary part because I thought I must have been going insane. For a few seconds, there was a huge illumination of light into our car, and I looked at my family, and could not tell who they were or what they meant to me. And then it's like everything just came back. The light shifted back, and I knew who everyone was, but it felt like something imperceptible had changed. I closed my eyes and tried to make sense of the past few minutes, and when I reached back to remember, I saw blood, our car and another minivan in shambles on the side of the highway right beyond the underpass, and mangled bodies. I remembered sensations I should not have known, what spattered brain matter looks like, the smell of something burning, the way I couldn't breathe. But this never happened? Yet I remember that the car in front of us had switched lanes even though there was a truck in front of us, realized it at the last second, and hit us with a lateral impact. I have no history of psychosis, and I have never been in any sort of car accident. This wasn't PTSD, and I have never had anxiety over being in the car in any sort of way prior to this. And maybe I could have just brushed it off, but I still think about it when I'm driving in my own car. And it's made me a more cautious driver. I don't know what happened, it was just a weird situation, and I remember having the distinct feeling in that moment that I had died in some sense. I am not a spiritually sensitive person by any means, I am a scientist at heart, but this truly was something I cannot explain. And I fully accept that I might be reading too much into this, and for some reason, I imagined an event that never happened, but I thought I would share anyway.
Comments. I had something similar happen. Except I got hit by a car on my bicycle in 2011. A drunk driver ran a red light and T-boned me, bike folded in half, split my head open, ripped part of my ear off, and melted my nylon jacket through my hoodie into my skin from sliding on the pavement. I woke up and remember thinking it was all a hazy dream and trying to walk off when the paramedics told me I had to get in the ambulance. I guess I told them I didn't have insurance and wanted to walk home. They filled me in on the fact I had been unconscious for almost 45 minutes and I lost a lot of blood and was lucky to be alive. Since then I can't piece back together the wreck, or anything that happened. It's all just a plain black thought after a certain recap. My friend had received a text from me what would be 10 minutes before the wreck. I thanked him for hanging out with me and told him I was almost home safe less than a mile to go. Since all of this happened I haven't felt right, I feel like I really died that night. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I feel like I can hear people trying to wake me up still. I will say that since all of that happened, my life has shifted gears and I'm in a way better place than I ever had been. Maybe this doesn't relate to your glitch at all, but at least you aren't the only person experiencing weird death sequences. Mine was just a little more physical than mental.
That is so scary, I'm glad you are okay. And yes, that's definitely way more physical than I had. And I've had a near-death experience once with a near drowning, and I felt similar to what you are describing. I definitely felt like a new person coming out of that, and like a part of me died that day. Reality is such a weird thing.
Reading your posts made me think of a time when I was a kid and nearly drowned. I was at the local swimming pool. It was hectic busy. I was trying to swim as far as I could underwater, but when I tried to come up for air there was something on the surface that was blocking me. I got more and more stressed, and right when I thought, oh my god, I'm going to die, I found the edge and came up gulping. The reason why your post made me think of that experience was for about a year or two after I kept having these dreams or thoughts that I was actually in a coma and my mom and dad were sitting next to me, holding my hand, praying for me to wake up. I'd feel like I had to make a decision to force myself to wake up or stay here forever. I even remember telling my friends about it, saying things like, what if this world isn't real and we're in a coma somewhere else? After a while I guess the thoughts, feelings dissipated. I haven't thought about that experience for like 10 years. Might explain why I'm so curious in following subs like this one. I fell off a balcony and came to in a hospital, also rolled my truck down a highway, and took an ambulance ride for OxyContin overdose. All 3 times I'm beyond lucky to have survived, and I've recently started to think that maybe I didn't in the timeline I was in at time of accidents. Reason I bring this up though, is I often when laying in bed think people are trying to wake me up or get me to come out of an unconscious state. It feels so real and it is like I'm too scared for that to be a reality, so I just stay here in this one. I definitely died that day. First time posting, long time fan. I'm 40 years old and this happened when I was about 29. A little backstory, I walked everywhere I needed to go. I lived in a small town which made that easy to do. I walked the same way to the same places every day. One day I was heading to work and I stepped out from between 2 cars to cross the street. I was immediately struck and killed by a white Escalade. I felt the air pocket and then the sudden acceleration of my body. The person didn't even have time to hit their brakes. The next second I was standing on the sidewalk unscathed, and whole. I nearly fell to the ground in shock. I saw and felt my death. And got a 5-second reset.
Comments. I also died in a car accident once. Probably one of the worst feelings ever. My husband was driving and I was front passenger. Just us in the car on the highway. As we were going the weather changed from clear and sunny to dark and cloudy. I knew it wasn't right. I could see both environments at the same time and just didn't know what was happening. Then it started snowing. Lots, like blizzard lots. I could still see the clear sky also, but it was getting really hard to see. I just sat there mostly in awe of this phenomenon. We were approaching a town and there was a road joining the highway on the right, my side of the car. By now it was snowing so hard I could hardly see, but I was fully aware it wasn't actually snowing at all. I could see a white car coming down the road, headlights and all. Then it all just happened so fast. We went through the intersection, and the car I could see that wasn't real, slammed into my side of the car, and I was thrown into my husband. I felt myself die at that moment. When the car hit us I closed my eyes, and just after I hit my husband, I opened them and looked at him. I was in total shock. He asked what was wrong, what happened, as I had hit him and was pasty white. He said I looked like something serious had just happened, and all I could say was I had just died. I tried to explain it as I'm looking around at the clear blue sky, looking behind us at the intersection, everywhere. I couldn't believe what had just happened, but I can still see it and feel it to this day.
I had a similar experience. Was crossing the road outside school and was absolutely hit by a car. I remember them accelerating into me. It was a busy road at school start, end time and near a big airport. The school was on the main route to the airport from our town and most people worked there, so we had multiple hit and runs of assholes making like they were slowing down, then accelerating into students because they were pissed off that they were being held up at the crossings. There was no chance it didn't hit me. I'm pretty sure the car was a silver Peugeot. I am then missing about 10 seconds of memory. I remember stepping out, then nothing, then I'm a good way up the street chatting mid-conversation to a girl I know went to my school but had never talked to before. I spoke to my mom about it and she was just totally chill and said my great-grandma had saved me. Do you have a creepy story? Please share it with us in the comments and we will post it on the channel. Please subscribe. Thank you.